I gave him a year to put it together, but I think if he doesn't put it together, Jalen Ramsey may see himself off this list. But as of right now, I do consider Jalen Ramsey an elite cornerback in the league. How you doing? It is July 11th, 2020 here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and with this piece of the elite, I just want to talk about Jalen Ramsey, a player who I've been following since he was really in high school. I'm really well aware of the impact that he's had on the teams that he's had, and now for once he's not he's not in a complete dumpster fire of a team. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and see how it works in his favor. So, if you're unaware of who Jalen Ramsey is, he is a 6'1", 208-pound corner, 25 years old. He currently plays for the Los Angeles Rams. But if you follow college football, you're well aware of how big of a prospect he was. He was an amazing track athlete, and he was a top 5, top 10. He was definitely a 5-star prospect, recruited by Jimbo Fisher to go play at Florida State. And his freshman year at Florida State, 2013, he would go on to finish with 49 total tackles on the season as a freshman. He was really kind of that dude. And that year, they would go on to win the ACC championship, and they won the national championship. And he was a freshman safety playing for he was a freshman corner playing for Florida State at that time, doing what really needed to be done. And no, that's really kind of where he first cemented his legacy at Florida State, because the first year they went undefeated and won the national championship game. So, they won under Jimbo Fisher. And the next year, it's in his sophomore year, Florida State would finish up going 13-1, losing in the Rose Bowl, finishing first in the ACC. Jalen Ramsey finished with 80 total tackles, 2 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, 3 sacks. Yeah, kind of really doing his own thing and setting himself up as an elite level draft prospect. They won the ACC championship yet again. Like I said, he was a second team All-American, and he was named first team All-ACC at the corner position. And then following his senior year, the Florida State Seminoles would finish 10-3, losing in the Peach Bowl under Jimbo Fisher. But in his 13 games, he would finish up tallying 52 total tackles, 9 passes defended in the 13 games he played. Basically, no one threw in his direction, and he would finish the season being first team All-ACC. He was a consensus All-American, and he set himself up as a good enough prospect to be taken 5th overall in the 2016 NFL Draft to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And once he got to the Jaguars, he's really kind of been that guy. His first season, he played 16 games. He had 14 passes defended, had 2 interceptions with 65 total tackles. And then he wasn't officially named to the Pro Bowl, but that year the Jaguars went 3-13, but he was starting to, he was starting to show the city of Jacksonville what kind of athlete they were truly getting. And then in 2017, that was when he really kind of put himself on the map. In his 16 games that he played, he finished with 17 passes defended, 4 interceptions, 63 total tackles, kind of doing his thing. He was named a Pro Bowler. He was named first team All-Pro. And I'm pretty sure the Jaguars went on to being 10-6. They won the AFC South. They would go on to beat the Bills in the wild card 10-3. They would lose to the Steelers in the divisional they would beat the Steelers by a field goal in the divisional playoffs, and they lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship. 2017 was a very, very good season, and Jalen Ramsey was the face of that Jaguars team, and that was his second season in the league. That was a season which, for me, solidified his elite status, and he's made the last 2 Pro Bowls, which suggests that he's still a very elite Pro Bowler. Like, he's been an elite Pro Bowler since that year, but he hasn't had a year quite like that. But in 2018, in the 16 games that he started, he finished with 3 interceptions, defending 13 passes, finishing with 65 total tackles. Yet again, the Jaguars would end up going 5-11, not making the playoffs, and Jalen Ramsey would he would openly voice his frustrations, saying they didn't want to be on the team, but at the same time he was still named to be a Pro Bowler. I think he was one of 2 Pro Bowlers on the Jaguars, both on that defense. And then in 2019, he would play 3 games in Jacksonville before moving to the LA Rams, where in the 8 games that he started, he played in 9 games. He finished with 1 interception, defending 4 passes, but, kind of doing his own thing. But he would still be named a Pro Bowler in the 12 games that he did play, which is still pretty impressive, which still suggests that he's still an elite level corner. And the Rams still finished 9-7, which is a drop off from when they went to the Super Bowl and lost. But I mean, that's naturally going to happen when you get something like this. But so it doesn't take away from the fact that Jalen Ramsey is an elite level corner that's placed in a very good position in the LA Rams. Even with that defense, they have the secondary of Jalen Ramsey, John Johnson III, Taylor Rapp, and Troy Hill. I mean, Jalen Ramsey is definitely the most experienced player in that secondary, but you're still in the same defense as Aaron Donald, which should most definitely help. The Rams still have a pretty potent offense. I feel like they lost their potency once Todd Gurley left, but I'll get into that in a different one. But I still think Jalen Ramsey as an individual defensive talent is one of the best corners, especially I think he's definitely like Patrick Peterson 4 or 5 years later. He's going to be a very consistent back. And if we're talking, I'll even give him this year. I'll give him a couple more years of slack. I think he's going to be a Pro Bowl level corner this year. And he's definitely a player that if you watch football, you definitely respect him. Like him or love him, you definitely respect how good of a cornerback Jalen Ramsey actually is. And you would be more excited if he was on your team than if he wasn't. And I know that if you're a Jacksonville Jaguar fan or you're just like a Florida State fan or someone that admires Jalen Ramsey's game, you know what I'm talking about. And yeah, with that, I appreciate you for listening to all 7.5 minutes of this. I wish you all well in this quarantine and all. I just want to say, look out for my boy Jalen Ramsey.